This video is brought to you by Vision Board Finance, your macroeconomic tool. Good day, everyone. Today is July 18th, 2026. Welcome to the Gold Line Show. I'm your host, Goldie Line, and today we have different topics that we talk about. Of course, our big story today, again, what is happening in geopolitics in the Middle East. It has been heating up again, the situation over there. And we'll talk about, some politics, Trump's announcement towards the nation on Thursday. Maybe if we get into that, and about the US economy and what's really going on. So, without further ado, let's start with our big topic today, which is the Strait of Hormuz is closed. Yes. So, what you have to understand is it was open and closed at the same time for the past several months. However, now it's pretty much closed. Okay? Yesterday, 8 ships passed through the strait. You can use this really cool website here, maritimetraffic.com. Not a lot of activity. I think red are oil tankers, whereas green arrows are cargo ships. So basically, my viewers know this, but to just get the situation, just to explain what is happening right now, we have to understand how this started. Okay, so basically, the MOU was signed in the Palace of Versailles by Mr. Donald Trump, which is not a peace deal. It's the memorandum of memorandum of understanding to start a peace process, right? And that is completely out the window. Why am I showing this? Because here we can see all the points of that MOU, and I want to pay attention to the fifth article, fifth point of the MOU. Okay, so it says here, upon the signing of the MOU, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best efforts for the safe passage of commercial vessels, blah, 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 for 60 days. All right, so it was about the tolls. They said eventually, yeah, they will have tolls there. They did have tolls in the past, but once we sign this for 60 days, there won't be tolls. But hey, tell us which ships are going through, what the cargo is, your crew, where you're heading, and then you're good to go. Because it says here, the Islamic Republic of Iran will make arrangements using its best effort. The Republic of Iran, singular, not the Republic of Iran and Oman, the Republic of Iran and the US. Okay, so what happened here, or what is happening here, the route. So if you go with the Iranians and you tell them, hey, we have this ship here, we want to cross the strait, no problem. They want you to use the northern route here at passing this island here, which looks like a shark. It's called Kashim Island. I'm not sure if they go through the harbor. I don't think so, but probably around here, through the islands here, bam, and then go out here, bam. Okay, so no problem. You tell us, you can leave after telling us what's going on. Okay, good. You come out here. Okay, but the US is navigating ships through the southern part here, hugging the coastline of Oman and UAE, right? So here's Oman and the UAE here. So they're navigating ships through this line here, not consolidating, not communicating that with the Iranians, because what you have to understand is after the British Empire, so what was the biggest thing of the British Empire? Their naval force and guarding the seas, right? Or controlling the seas. And that torch was passed on to the American Empire, to the US today. So in their mind, it's okay, look, we signed this memorandum of understanding, which is just a surrender document to the Iranians. And once they impose tolls here, and then that will cause the world to see that we're not the top dog anymore. And the world is not owned by the security framework that we put in, by the single superpower owning everything, doing whatever they want with smaller countries whenever they want. But it's heading towards a multipolar world. So if we lose the strait here, if we lose power here, well, why not in other places of the world, like the Strait of Malacca, or maybe the corridor from the North Pole, right? Which is why Greenland was suddenly so important for the future. So from the Americans' view, we want the waterways to be free and open just like they were before the war started. Okay? So the Iranians didn't like that, started shooting at those ships that passed through here, turning off the transponders, trying to pass without their coordination. So as a retaliation to Iranians shooting those commercial ships, the US started retaliating, and now we're back to, I wouldn't call it like full-blown war as it was before, because the amount of ammunition dropped, the intensity is still like 10-20% of what it was during the height of the war in February and March. Okay, so it's not as intense. That has several reasons. The American capabilities, military capabilities, are heavily degraded, and you know, targeting one of thousands of targets here along the coastline of Iran is much more difficult than Iran targeting just what, 9, 10 targets in the Middle East, the same bases, the same naval fortifications, right? So on one side, you have the Americans, they have to hit thousands of targets, possible targets here, because in their mind, they think, like, Sun Tzu, you have to know your enemy. They think their enemy, Iran, operates just like them. So they have like these big bases which they operate from. But that's what the US does. Iran doesn't do that. After Qasem Soleimani's plan for the past 20 years, Iran prepared for exactly this situation and then decentralized their, I think they call it the mosaic strategy. They decentralized their military capabilities. Now a rocket can pop up somewhere in the desert. You don't even know from where. A kamikaze drone boat can pop up somewhere here along the coastline. So hitting the targets the US is hitting is not having the effect of degrading the capabilities of Iran as the US wants to believe. Okay, so back to this escalation ladder heat up. So why are they doing that? So after signing the memorandum of understanding, not only the fifth article here, but basically every point here was broken by the US and Israel, right? Current war. By signing the MOU, declared the immediate and permanent termination of military operations on all fronts, right? Including Lebanon, which didn't happen. The MOU was signed anyway. And Trump now jeopardized this whole thing. Like, they could have bought themselves a month, maybe like 60 days, right? A month and a half, where they could possibly refuel the draining SPR, Strategic Petroleum Reserve in the US. But instead, buying that extra time, so the end result is not going to change. Okay? We're still going to have a global depression. There's still no sour crude in the markets. And there's still a huge discrepancy between how much oil is actually for how much oil is actually bought by these refineries, around $110, $120 per barrel, and the futures paper price in the markets around $80 per barrel, which also has several reasons. For example, China is now not relying as much on the Strait of Hormuz. They're draining their strategic petroleum reserves, and they have extra deals getting their oil from Russia, which also helps keeping the price down right now, the paper price. Okay, so there's this huge discrepancy. I feel like we're in this Michael Burry movie. What's it called, The Big Short, where the guy's like, "Oh, one plus two equals fish." Yeah. What is oil? Oil just jumped up to like 82. It jumped up to 82, the WTI. And then here, where I live in Singapore, I saw during the height of the war, a barrel selling for 160 up to $200 a barrel. So this huge discrepancy, right? So just like what happened in 2009, I feel like we're in this Michael Burry moment where, hey, look, this is reality, is like right here. And this is what markets say right here. So there's this huge gap in between. So something isn't right here. Okay. And I've talked about this last week or last week, where on my TikTok, on my short here on YouTube, where I saw, okay, look, this is basically the bottom, $68. We are below pre-war levels of crude oil. So this is not normal, and it will come back and shoot up. And this is what's happening. It's not shooting up though. It's not going up as much as I thought, but it's going up. Yeah, but it's going up. So, um, that being said, right? So the SPR is draining. It's not being refilled. Sour crude, for everyone who doesn't know, has a lot of what is it called? You make a acid from it. I forgot the chemical now. Sometimes I forget. My brain is just so anyway. So a barrel of crude is not just a barrel of crude. So oil is not just oil, like it's coming out of the ground and you can use it. No, the shortage in the US, even though the US is a net exporter of petroleum products and refined oil, the US is a net importer of crude oil to make diesel. So the shortage will be in diesel and aviation fuel. So it's July now, probably at the end of this month, like the next 2 weeks, beginning of next month, beginning of August, there has to be some sort of rationing. Hey, should we make diesel so Costco can get their products? Or should we make aviation fuel so people can continue to travel and we can continue fueling our military industrial complex? But there will be shortages nevertheless. And the worst part, I think this is even worse, months from now, possibly at the end of the year, starting next year, there's going to be a severe, or the effect of the severe fertilizer shortage, because most of the fertilizer that is used, and also that chemical component that I can't think of yet now, right? What is it? Chloric acid? No, not chlorine. It's yellow. It's like a yellow chemical. Oh man, what is it called? Sulfur. Sour crude has about 10%, 15% of a sulfur compound in it. Okay? So it's like this dirty crude. But that sulfur compound is used to make phosphor, to turn phosphor into fertilizer, for example, or to extract copper. It's used in mining. So now we don't only have a shortage of oil, diesel, aviation fuel, but also a shortage of fertilizer. So the crops are not going to grow, and we're going to have to ration food as well. So there's going to be an energy and food crisis globally. Okay? For this senseless, stupid war that is to absolutely zero benefit, even worse than that, to the harm of the American people and to the citizens of the world. For what? So, what is really going on here? So, I give you my thoughts. I could be wrong, okay? But what I think is going on is very similar to what is happening in Ukraine right now. So they are past the red lines of Russia, that past the threshold of what we thought would lead to nuclear war a few years back. They're striking deep into Russia. So they're striking refineries near Moscow. They're striking uh, civilian buildings in St. Petersburg. The damage is not as bad as the Western media wants you to think. It is under control, but their refining capacity is also going down. The last time I read was about 25%. So Russia's refining capacity is also going down. So it's not only the Strait of Hormuz, it's their refining capacity. And it's another matter which I'll talk about later. But what I think is going on, or what the goal is to strike deep into Russia, is because they're losing on the ground in Ukraine. Ukraine is a nation, it's over, man. It's over. Just like I think it was Marco Rubio, he said, oh, we will keep this going until the last Ukrainian man. They don't care. They don't care about the lives of those people there. They don't. Keep pumping them with money, keep pumping them with military equipment, throw shit at the wall and hope something will stick. But now that they're losing, completely destroyed on the ground, that they lost already years ago. When the war started, I was talking about that this is not gonna work, but who am I, right? I'm just some YouTuber. So what they're pivoting to is now terrorism. You can't win, so you strike deep into Russia with some drones that are made in Europe, by the way, and some advisors sitting around Putin, whispering him into Putin's ear to strike Europe because those drones, those basically everything that Ukraine is shooting at Russia is made in Europe, except the sticker that says made in Ukraine. It's shipped through Poland to Ukraine, sticker put on, made in Ukraine, and then they shoot it, right? So basically, Europe is attacking Russia indirectly, directly. So why are they doing that? They want to provoke a response. They want to provoke a response by Russia so they can escalate. Because otherwise, the future looks very, very grim. We're going to talk about the economic side a bit later, but militarily, it's over. Europe has no military. Europe is being overrun by immigrants that don't share their culture, that don't share their values, that don't like them, frankly. They're being basically replaced, the natives, they're being basically replaced, including my country, Germany, and the economics there is being sabotaged with the Nord Stream pipeline destroyed, with the energy crisis that Germany has. I think Germany has the highest energy prices in the world because they shut down all the nuclear power plants in the name of green energy, which doesn't even make sense unless you're a communist or Marxist, because nuclear power is green energy. So the goal is clearly you want to cause an energy crisis so you can take over. Because if you control energy and food, well then there you go. You can take over as a coalition of a minority seeking power and toppling the current establishment of power. That's what Marxism is. That's the goal, and that's what these globalists want. And that's what these globalists do, right? All the discrepancy between what the people in Europe want. They don't want to have anything to do with war. They don't want to go to war with Russia. They don't want to die in Ukraine, right? It's completely 180 from what the politicians in Europe do. Okay? And they're on borrowed time. Starmer left. Next will probably be Macron, then Merz. Okay? So the goal here, or the broader goal here, the strategy, so to speak, is to poke them for a response so they can escalate. And I think that's what's going on here right now in the Middle East with Iran. Are they hitting the infrastructure, but not really hitting the infrastructure? Are they doing this? They're doing this. So they want an escalatory response by Iran, which Iran is not doing, by the way. They're doing a tit for tat response, right? So you destroy our bridges, we destroy bridges in in Qatar. You destroy our radar systems, we destroy your radar systems, right? So it's like a horizontal escalation, but what they want is a vertical escalation. And a specific person, I don't want to name here because I'm on YouTube, from a specific country, a Western country in the Middle East, is going to visit Mr. Trump on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. And what are they going to talk about, right? So they want to they want a response so they can justify a huge escalation. I said it before, the next step would be a ground invasion, but to do that successfully with a country the size of Iran, you would need millions of troops. And you can't just put together millions of troops. Who in the US wants to go and die for this specific country here in Iran? No one. You think young guys in America want that? No, no, they're not going to. So it will take years to prepare that. So it's not going to work. Maximum what they can do is they keep talking about Karg Island, which is this Karg Island here? Karg Island was somewhere here in the top. I'm not 100% sure. But max they can do is raids. So they're going to go on a small island here, Kish or Siri, um, and go in there 45 minutes, kill everyone on the island, and then leave. That's what a ground operation could look like, because everything that you do inside of Iran fails, which we saw when they tried to have the special operation infiltrating one of these nuclear sites. They lost like what, five, six planes, and their pilot got lost, and then they covered it up with this, oh, we have to save our pilot. The guy was sitting in the backseat of the F-16. Yeah, right. That was a special operation that failed. So that's not going to work. So the other thing they could do is nukes. Just nuke them. As far as I know, this country here has the smallest tactical nukes available. So a tactical nuclear weapon, in case you don't know, is everything below 100 megatons of TNT, okay? Just for scale, Hiroshima was 15 megatons. Okay, so 70 megatons or something, which are the smaller tactical nukes of Russia, for example, are 70 megatons. Okay, so magnitudes more powerful than what we saw in Hiroshima. They're also thermonuclear weapons. They're not just a fission bomb, but they're a fission bomb that's used as a trigger, and that fission creates a fusion at its core, fusing together, I guess, hydrogen, thus the name hydrogen bomb, which yields much more than regular bombs and enables you to make those bombs a bit smaller too. So as far as I know, the smallest tactical nukes can be between 2, 5, and 7, not megatons. Sorry, did I say megatons? Kilotons. I mean, megatons is like a thousand. Sorry, kilotons of TNT. So that's the only way to penetrate these fortifications in Iran that possibly house nuclear weapons, right? Or just destroy them off. The other thing is that until the assassination of their leader, right, Ali Khomeini, which is basically the Pope in the Islamic world, um, they had a fatwa, a religious ruling that they did not want to pursue nuclear weapons because they killed too many civilians. So it is un-Islamic to use nuclear weapons, right? So they always wanted to be at the threshold, together with the ballistic missile program, together with the proxies in Lebanon and Yemen, to counter that, and of course their nuclear option, which is controlling the Strait of Hormuz, as a counter, and enrich uranium just enough so they could have a nuclear weapon, right? But now that you murdered Ali Khamenei, the new leader's father, his daughter, his niece, his wife, and someone else all together, well, that doesn't count anymore. Because why is this happening in Iran? Why is it not happening in North Korea? Because North Korea has nukes. Okay. So what I think they're striving for is actually a nuclear weapon. And there is intel that I saw a few weeks back about them planning to test one, so Iran testing one, and somewhere in their desert, showing, hey, we got a nuclear warhead, so leave us alone. I, however, think if that is true, just the intel that they have nukes, that can be used as a justification by Team America and Team here, they belong to that, to justify nuking them first. So they're trying to find a way to justify nuking them first. Because there's no other way. I don't ground invasion, no, it's gonna fail miserably. What you tried now, I think like what, two-thirds of the US Navy is there right now. Doesn't work. You run out of missiles, run out of interceptors. You can't build more. China controls the entire supply chain. They built like what, 60 Tomahawks or something a year. Okay. So nothing is gonna work. Maybe nukes will though. But that comes with great repercussions. Because what will China and Russia do and these other nuclear powers like Pakistan? What did they tell the specific country here about that? Is that the reason they didn't use nukes yet? Maybe. I don't know. So is the situation going to de-escalate or escalate in the coming days and weeks? I think it's going to escalate. That's more likely. Okay. Another thing, so the Strait of Hormuz is closed, very good, very, very bad for the economy, for the world economy. Another thing that happened is that I want to show you here. So this is the border between Yemen and Saudi Arabia. So since Saudi Arabia can't make money selling their oil through the strait, which is closed, they use I think it's called a east-west pipeline. So they use some port here. I'm not sure where, some port here in Saudi Arabia and get, I think, 6 million barrels a day out from the Gulf of Aden, from the Red Sea here, the Bab al-Mandab Strait. This is called the Bab al-Mandab Strait. Okay. So about 6 million barrels a day. About 21 million barrels a day pass through the Strait of Hormuz on a normal day. So they can get out 6 million at least from here. So it would be a very bad idea to restart conflict with Yemen now, who have the ability to close this strait as well, if you're Saudi Arabia, right? Like that would be really stupid to do, right? And yet that's what they did. They attacked an airport, I think it was Sana'a in Yemen, last week, when that biggest funeral that ever happened in history. I think 40 million people attended the funeral of Ali Khamenei. And some of the people who attended that funeral, people from Yemen, who came back to Sana'a, and so they were striked at the airport there. And now we're at risk of the closure of this strait right here. Well done. So together, the Bab el-Mandab Strait and the Strait of Hormuz is around 25% of global energy supply. Oil. Great. Well done. Another thing about why I think it's going to escalate more. So Iran said, if you start hitting our infrastructure, we will hit the region's infrastructure. And what I saw yesterday is that bridges were hit in Iran, and there's a response, bridges in Qatar or Bahrain, I think. I think even this one here, this big bridge right here, was hit. Could be wrong. I'm not sure which bridge, okay? But they hit bridges back and forth. So that is civilian infrastructure, right? So if power plants are next, like Trump said, a week ago. Well, then they're going to hit the power plants in the region. If desalination plants are next, well, then they're going to hit desalination plants of the region and make the entire region uninhabitable. And then it's not a matter anymore of will the strait be open or not. Then it's game over. It doesn't matter if the strait is open because the entire region is basically offline in terms of energy supply. And this is what I think we're heading towards. Anyway, check it out. Maritime traffic. Cool website. Very cool. Memorandum of understanding. Yeah, you can read through it if you're interested, if you're a giant nerd like me. Anyway, okay. So the other news is, so what is going on at home in the US, right? So this article is from the Star. So US producer prices unexpectedly fall in June. What? Washington, US. Producer prices unexpectedly fell in June, another indicator that inflation was retreating before the recent escalation in the Middle East conflict. Okay, so everything was fine, right? So, guys, Nvidia back to new all-time highs. The markets are great. Ignore what I said about the strait and oil supply, energy supply. Ignore all that. Everything is great. Let's go to Aldi. Let's buy some imported grapes and cotton candy. I think what is this? Yeah, cotton candy. It's all fresh, fresh from the farm, right? And everything is fine. You know, the inflation, the economy is booming, right? GDP is great. Okay, let me show you this right here. So this is from the Fortune. Labor force participation falls to 61.5%, the lowest in 50 years outside of COVID, because everything was shut down during COVID, right? Labor force participation fell to its lowest point in 50 fudge caking years. 50. Okay? So things are not great. Why is everyone unemployed? Why are young Americans not finding jobs? Why is no one paying taxes? Why are you lying, cooking up the numbers about the inflation, about what is really going on? Just to buy them some more time for the inevitable collapse of the financial and economic system and military now of the US. Just to buy some more time. That's why. Things are not great if labor participation is the lowest in 50 fucking years, man. Okay? So now the fear obviously is that, oh, there will be rate hikes now, right? To fight the inflation. Oh, sorry, let's explain why did June prices fall in the first place. Let me explain. Okay? So that has two reasons. So what you have to understand is inflation is measured year to year. So year to year. So this month inflation compared to last year's same month inflation. And also, inflation is a lagging indicator. So if you get the inflation numbers for July, that shows you the inflation for June, right? Like, I don't know what the inflation is like right now, right? The month didn't happen yet, right? Didn't pass yet. So, right? So it's a lagging indicator for a month, okay? So there's two reasons. So, number one, what happened in June? Well, in June, the MOU was signed between the US and Iran. Hopes went up for oil to flow again. We can refill the SPR. Okay. Markets are not going to crash. That's what happened in June. That's number one. Okay. Number two, I'm I didn't read too much into it, so I'm not 100% sure why or how this happened. But remember the tariffs that Trump imposed last year on everyone? 50% tariffs on this product from China, 50%. Well, it looks like that a lot of these tariffs were unconstitutional, and these companies that paid the tariff upfront, are getting a rebate. So the Trump administration is paying billions of dollars back to these companies. That includes goods and services, right? Goods like Aldi, I guess. Those are the two things that happen, which is why it is falling in June. Not because, it was retreating already before the recent escalation. Oh, not because everything is actually great, it's just a war happening. No, 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 no. Things were bad already. The war was just a gasoline on the fire, accelerating what would have happened maybe a year later. Okay? So this is what's going on. Another thing now, the fear is, oh, there might be a rate hike. Maybe, but I'm telling you what I'm thinking. So yields, okay, are going up. And when this is the 10-year treasury yield, okay? So when yields are going up, the US government has to pay more for the money they borrow. So they have to pay back more. So they have to service that debt every year. And when the yield goes up, obviously you have to pay back more of the money they borrowed. When the yield hits around 5%, so right now at this point, servicing that debt is $1.6 trillion the last time I checked. $1.6 trillion. When the yield goes up to 5, okay, it's going to be $2 trillion. And on top of that, how fast, right? Next year, like last year, it was 1.1 trillion. So it's going up. So it's something around like $3 trillion just to pay off your national debt. Okay? So how much income does the US have from taxes? $5 trillion. Okay, so $5 trillion, $1.5 trillion away for the military industrial complex, $2 to $3 million gone for Social Security and welfare programs. So that leaves you with what? Enough to pay off the yield here? No, there is no money. There is no money to pay off this ridiculous debt. We're not talking about the huge cost of the war, which is probably going to reach $1 trillion. Okay, one of these radars, these high-tech radars, are like $500 billion. Got destroyed. Two of them got destroyed. Okay, we're not talking about this huge impact. We're not talking about that war always is inflationary. Always. We're not talking about that. We're just talking about servicing the debt. So how can you service that debt? Well, you have to pay it off with printed money. We're just monetizing the debt. And that will cause a death spiral. It will cause a death spiral because you have the inflation rate, right? Actually, I think I can show you that. Right, before I continue, let me show you that. Okay, so if you go to my website, Vision Board Finance, you can actually check some of these, okay? So real GDP growth. Okay, so you have the inflation rate, okay? What is it now? Like 3% or something, according to the government, 2.9%, right? Okay. So the interest rate has to be above that rate, right? So the federal funds rate right now, right, is like 3.6%, right? So if you want the real inflation rate, you can basically just double that number. Okay. So the real inflation right now is probably around 7 to 9%. But they're telling us, oh no, no, it's like below 3%. Oh, okay. Oh, here we go. So it's 3.5%, right? 2.1%. Sorry. So the official inflation rate is like, oh, okay, it's like 2.9%. But 3.5%, I'm sorry. That's the official rate. 3.5%, that's what the numbers say, that's what government says. And so the interest rate has to be above that, right? So if I borrow you $100 and I tell you, and the inflation rate is zero, so inflation rate is zero, I borrow you $100 and I tell you, hey, pay me back 1% interest that year, like at the end of that year. So you're giving me back $101, right? You're happy, you got money up front. I'm happy, I made a dollar. I made 1% on my money, right? Okay. What if the inflation rate now is 2%? Again, I borrow $100 to you. The interest is 1%, so you pay me back $101. So how much did I make? I made $101, and how much in percent did I make? Minus. I didn't make a dollar. The number is the same, but because the inflation degraded the value of this $101 I got back more than the interest I charged. Okay? Which is why cheap credit is good. You want to borrow, and that's what the government did. That's why Japan's collapsing right now. For the past 30, 40 years, they had cheap credit for the entire world, near zero interest for central banks to borrow. And when the inflation rate is above that, well, that degrades the money value, the value of that money that you have to pay back. So you're actually paying back less money than you received. Cool. Now, what happens if the inflation is heating up? Inflation is heating up. So these are the official numbers, 3.5%. You just double that. 7%, 7 to 9%. What do you do then? And the interest rate's below that. Well, then you can't really fight inflation with a federal funds rate of, what, 3.6% here, 3.63%. If the inflation is double, triple that. But what if you have to pay back that yield, the money you borrowed, with money that now costs more? So you have to print that extra, you have to print that premium, pay for it, right? And when you pay for it with printed money, that extra liquidity, that extra money is in the money supply, further expanding the money supply, causing more inflation. Then you have to borrow more to pay back more, causing more inflation. And then you end up in a death spiral of hyperinflation. And that's not only the US, that is Europe, that is Japan, is basically the entire West. So we see right now, Russia is draining the Western Empire militarily. Iran is draining the empire financially, and they're degrading inside by themselves, all by themselves through Marxism, socially. The society is degrading, the financial system is collapsing, the economy is collapsing, markets will surely crash, and then it's game over. And you probably have a civil war at the end of this road. Okay? So let me share this screen here for you, okay? So this happened on Thursday, President Trump addressing the nation. So I didn't watch it, I just saw some snippets. So basically, it was about the stolen election. It was about that the stolen election happened because of China. Okay. So before we had Russia Gate, Russia was fudging with the numbers, and now it's China, right? So what I want to say is there's a huge difference between Trump 1.0 and Trump 2.0. Trump 1.0 was, oh, I don't need their money. I'm a billionaire myself. America first. I'm going to close the border. I'm going to make America great again. Blah, 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 blah. That's why he won. That's why people loved him. And some people came in and said, no, 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 Mr. Trump. You have to dance to our tune because we want you to attack Iran. We want to move forward carrying that torch of the collapsing empire and place it right in the heart of the Middle East. And you will enable us to do so. I said it in the podcast 3 years ago, 2 years ago. I was on a Malaysian podcast. I said it there. I said Trump will be reelected so he can go to war against Iran. And then we got Trump 2.0. Yes, the election was stolen. Okay. By your own Secret Service, by Black Lives Matter, by the Democrats who wanted to put in Biden and not you, because you were not dancing to their tune. And for you to become president again, one last time, you made a covenant with them. The same people who wanted to assassinate you, the same people that were against you in your first term, you betrayed your voter base to make a covenant with them because they have dirt on you on the island, what you did there. They have pictures, videos, and who knows what else. They helped you before to even become a billionaire. And they probably threaten you with your life again. Possibly, oh, not only your life, also your legacy. Because now, right now, you dig yourself into a hole where you are viewed as, or possibly are, after maybe after FDR, the worst president ever in US history. Completely against everything people loved you for, wanted you for. You completely betrayed everyone that supported you. And that's why this whole conflict, Middle East, blah, 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 it's not going to stop. They want Iran destroyed. They want Russia destroyed. Then the mini boss and the mini boss are gone. Now you can focus on the main boss, which is China. And when you choke them off, well, then you can be the globalist hegemon forever and ever. Butt sex and feminism for everyone in the entire world. Or you don't like it? Here, have some democracy, some bombs. And that's what's going on. That's what's going on. So very disappointed about his speech addressing the nation for something so silly. Like, yeah, it's China now, right? Okay, anyway, so before I end this, please check out my website, Vision Board Finance. Here you can, it's a macroeconomic tool. Financial advisors use tools that cost like $180 a month, right? My tool is only $9.99 a month, shows you like a quick update about what is happening in markets, giving an AI analysis here, upcoming events so you can stay up to date about what is happening, what could affect markets, right? So, if the employment cost index coming out, Or, the jobs report coming out, it's a big one, or CPI, it's another big one. August 12th, oh, now you can prepare for that. Or during that week, this and this might happen. You can factor that into your investments. You can see the news here, the next FOMC meeting, basically quick panel here. Then, of course, the economic data, a quick view, what changed, what is falling, what is rising. Here again, a correlation table. Then the economic health score. So right now, oh, the economy is good, right? 63%. But with the real data, like we use the official data given by the government and alternative data that shows you the actual picture here. It's not that great. Shows you the signals that we go over a score breakdown so you understand how it works. The alternative data, right here. So right now, reality is I think we use shadow stats and one more thing, like what was his name? He's doing reports. Well, they show that inflation actually went down. Okay. Um, yeah, but basically just double the official inflation number, basically, right? But you can see for unemployment, for example, it's much worse than they show you in reality, right? Wage growth is much worse than they show you in reality. Housing costs is worse, right? So basically everything is pretty much worse than what the official data shows. You can go into some more here. And then you can see the business cycle. So we are officially where in a recession, okay, based on market performance and based on that alternative data. With a matrix here, what sectors of the economy perform well during what phase of the economy, and an AI recommendation here, which shows stagflation. So we are in a stagflation, so we are in a commodity super cycle, basically. So you want to be in commodities. You want to have something with intrinsic value, not Bitcoin, not crypto, not Nvidia, which might temporarily go up with the AI bubble, but when it comes crashing down, I don't know. Are you willing to lose that? Like basically, how confident are you that the government's going to pull this off for another year? 20%, 50%? And that's the percentage that you should be investing into the markets. I'm 20% confident it will. Okay. Well, 20% of your wealth can go in there, and the rest into something that prepares you for what's coming, which we went over in this video for the past hour. It's not good, especially if you live in the West, in the US, guys, you have to prepare. Okay, so here, like a little plan here, how much cash you should have. Then sector performance, really cool. I love this tool. I use it every day to see what the performance is looking like. So basically, we see like a turn down, like things are going down, right? The only plus performer here is energy right now, right? No surprise. And then down here, you have several tools. So today's winners of the market, or like last night, you saw the VIX going up, right? So that's the biggest winner. Then broad commodities, energy, gold going up, crypto, the least good performer, and then the biggest loser, utilities, communication services, financial services, right? Usually because of the VIX. Then you have different tools here. Yeah, I can go over those another time. But one thing I use, right? Okay, well, let me show you this one. So here again, you can see the stock beta. So in the daily movers, you see what sectors are the best performers and worst. And here you can see a breakdown of what companies within that sector, right? So you can see the technology sector, bottom sector. It shows 0%, but okay, I don't know why. I have to fix that. Hang on. Does it show it here? Oh, okay, I have to fix that. Sorry, guys, I have to fix that. Uh, so right here, you can also see a score that we do, right? Like a performance score. So if you're thinking about investing into, I don't know, like Apple, right? Is that Apple? Or here, let's say Apple, right? Um, this helps you to just, see, hey, is this a possibly good investment or not? So it goes through different data points like the news in the past 7 days, attention spike, like what happened, and then gives it a score. So for example, right now here, composite score, pretty positive for Apple right now, right? So you can use that as a as a tool to just okay, so this is what the markets are thinking right now about this specific company. So you can use that. Very cool tool. The squeeze score is, I think, the probably the coolest one. So what you do is it looks for possible candidates that will squeeze next. So it uses a variety of data points to come up with that score, right? And then it gives you a list here, right? So you can sort it out. But basically here, uh, short position percentage, and then the float, how big it is, the borrowing rate, right? Changes in price. And then it gives you a score based on that. So right now we see the highest score is BATL. Okay. Everything under 60 is not very high. So use it with caution, but very cool tool. And we also have an options call tool, which you can use for options, right? So you can use, I don't know, Tesla, for example. Let's have a look here, Tesla, and then it will show you, what options are available and the best ones to snatch. So very cool tool. A lot you can do with our website. There's also a blog that you can read, and there's a portfolio manager which I'm working on, but more on that next time. So that's it, guys. So please don't forget to like and subscribe this video, share with your friends. Tell me what you think in the comments below. Do you agree, disagree with some points? Why? How do you see things moving forward? I'm very interested to hear, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy the weekend. Things are not looking too good, so just touch some grass, smell some coffee, enjoy time with your family and loved ones, and life is more. There's more to life, to your life than this bullshit going on right now. Okay, take care, everyone.